Hello dear students and welcome to this new lesson in the series of English lessons on the أونروا Satellite TV channel. أهلا وسهلا بكم أعزائي الطلاب في هذا الدرس الجديد من سلسلة دروس اللغة الإنجليزية على قناتكم قناة الأونروا الفضائية. Welcome back. Dear students, in a previous lesson we talked about passive voice. في درس سابق تحدثنا عن المبني للمجهول. In today's lesson we are going to talk about passive voice part 2. في درسنا لهذا اليوم سنتحدث عن المبني للمجهول الجزء الثاني. هنا passive voice part 2. But before we start passive voice part 2, we are going to revise some important points in passive voice part 1. قبل أن نبدأ في هذا الدرس المبني للمجهول الجزء الثاني سنراجع بعض النقاط المهمة التي تناولناها في الدرس السابق passive voice part 1. In a previous lesson, passive voice 1, we talked about how to change an active sentence into a passive one. كيف نحول جملة في المبني للمعلوم إلى جملة في المبني للمجهول. Alright. Step number 1. الخطوة الأولى في تحويل الجملة المبنية للمعلوم إلى جملة مبنية للمجهول. The object of a sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence. Again, the object of a sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence. المفعول به يصبح فاعل للجملة الجديدة. المفعول به يصبح فاعلا للجملة الجديدة. لننظر إلى هذا المثال. Example number 1. Ali plays football. Ali plays football. In this sentence, Ali is the subject as you see. في هذه الجملة علي هو الفاعل كما ترى. Plays is the verb. Football is the object. الفعل والمفعول به. According to the first step, وفقا للخطوة الأولى، فإن المفعول به which is football becomes the subject of the new sentence. المفعول به أصبح فاعلا للجملة الجديدة. مفعول به أصبح فاعل. Object becomes subject. So, football is played. Again, football is played. Alright, now let's move to step number 2. In step number 2, we use a helping verb from verb to be. نستخدم فعل مساعد من verb to be. In verb to be, as we said before, we have 4 helping verbs. يوجد في الفعل المساعد to be 4 أفعال مساعدة. Is and are in the present. الفعل المساعد is والفعل المساعد are في المضارع، وكما أسلفنا is للمفرد و are للجمع. أيضا لدينا الفعل المساعد was والفعل المساعد were in the past. يستخدم was في الفاعل المفرد في الماضي، وتستخدم were مع الفاعل الجمع أيضا في الماضي. نستخدم فعل مساعد يناسب الفاعل الجديد. Alright, step number 3, الخطوة الثالثة. We use the main verb in the past participle. We use the main verb in the past participle. نستخدم الفعل الأساسي للجملة في التصريف الثالث. Alright, here let's have this example. Example number 1. We study English. We study English. Here, dear students, we is the subject of the sentence. Study is the verb. English is the object. هنا الفعل والمفعول به. Step number 1. The object of the sentence becomes the subject of the passive one. Again, the object of the sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence. المفعول به للجملة الأولى يصبح فاعل الجملة الثانية. Now this word English, is this word singular or plural? هل هذه الكلمة مفردة أم جمع؟ We have English, اللغة الإنجليزية. So, we look at the verb, لننظر إلى الفعل study. Study, it's a verb in the present. هو فعل في زمن المضارع. We study. هنا لدينا فاعلا مفرد ولدينا الفعل في المضارع. وفقا للخطوة الثانية we need a helping verb from to be. Now the helping verb we need الفعل المساعد الذي نحتاج يجب أن يكون للمفرد وفي المضارع، ألا وهو الفعل المساعد is. Excellent. Here English is. Why is again؟ لماذا استخدمنا الفعل المساعد is؟ لأن الفاعل مفرد والجملة في زمن المضارع. English is. الخطوة الثالثة نستخدم الفعل الأساسي في التصريف الثالث. English is studied. Now English is studied. Sometimes if the doer of the action is important, إذا كان فاعل الجملة هو شخص مهم, we can use by and the subject. يمكن أن نستخدم by والفاعل. هنا على سبيل المثال English is studied by us. English is studied by us. All right. Example number 2. Ali watched 2 films. Ali watched 2 films. علي شاهد فيلمان. Let's change this sentence from active to passive. لنحول هذه الجملة إلى المبني للمجهول. Okay, Ali watched 2 films. Ali is the subject, watched is the verb, 2 films is the object. فاعل في زمن الماضي مفعول به. Okay, the object becomes the new subject. المفعول به يصبح فاعلا جديد. 2 films. Look at this subject. Look at this new subject. Is it singular or plural? هل هذا الفاعل الجديد مفرد أم جمع؟ 2 films فيلمان. It's plural إنه جمع. What about the verb? ماذا عن الفعل؟ هل هذا الفعل في زمن الماضي أم في زمن المضارع؟ Now the object becomes the new subject. كما أسلفنا سابقا المفعول به يصبح الفاعل الجديد. Look at this new subject. لننظر إلى هذا الفاعل الجديد. 2 films. Is it singular subject or a plural subject? هل هذا الفاعل فاعلا مفرد أم فاعلا جمع؟ Here we have 2 films, not 1 film. فيلمان. So it's a plural subject. What about the verb? ماذا عن الفعل؟ Is it present or past verb? هل هذا الفعل في زمن المضارع أم في زمن الماضي؟ As we see here, watched. Watched in the past. So here we have a plural subject in the past. Here we need a helping verb. نحتاج إلى فعل مساعد يكون يناسب الفاعل الجمع وفي الماضي. فعل مساعد يناسب الفاعل الجمع وفي الماضي. هنا لدينا الفعل المساعد were. 2 films were watched. 2 films were watched. Here, Ali watched 2 films. So, by Ali. Let's read the sentence. 2 films were watched by Ali. فيلمان شوهدا بواسطة علي. 2 films in the plural. So we use the helping verb were in the past, watched in the past participle, and by Ali. Now, dear students, after we have revised what we taught in a previous lesson, passive voice 1, we are going to start our second lesson, which is passive voice part 2, but after this break. Now we have a short break, then we go back. Welcome back. Now, dear students, the first thing we are going to explain in passive voice part 2 is passive voice in past simple. المبني للمجهول في الماضي البسيط. Okay, now let's look at the structure of the passive voice in past simple. تركيب المبني للمجهول في الماضي البسيط. Look here. The passive voice in the past is formed like this. Subject, الفاعل, plus was or were, plus main verb in the past participle. Again, subject, plus was or were, plus main verb in the past participle. يتكون المبني للمجهول في زمن الماضي البسيط من الفاعل، الفعل المساعد was أو الفعل المساعد were، زائد فعل أساسي في التصريف الثالث. Okay, let's have this example. Example number 1. He visited his sister. He visited his sister. Subject, verb, object. فاعل، فعل، مفعول به. هنا المفعول به يجب أن يصبح الفاعل للجملة الجديدة. His sister مفرد أم جمع؟ هذا الفاعل. His sister, is it singular or plural? His sister, one sister, it's singular. What about the verb visited? Is it in the present or in the past? It's in the past, visited. So, we need a helping verb in the past to fit the singular subject. فعل مساعد في الماضي يناسب الفاعل المفرد. It's was. So, his sister was. Now, we need the main verb in the past participle. نحتاج أن نستخدم الفعل الأساسي في التصريف الثالث. It's visited. His sister was visited. Who visited her? By him. Again, his sister was visited by him. Okay, let's move to have another example. Example number 2. We went to many shops. We went to many shops. Okay, let's change this sentence from active to passive. Here, subject, verb, object. فاعل، فعل ومفعول به many shops. As we said before, the object becomes the new subject. المفعول به يصبح الفاعل الجديد. Many shops, is it singular or plural? Excellent, it's plural, many shops. Okay, what about the verb went? Go, went, gone. Went, it's in the past simple. So here we need a helping verb in the past to fit the plural subject. نحتاج فعل مساعد في الماضي ليناسب الفاعل الجمع. Excellent, it's were. Many shops were. Now, after the helping verb were, we need the past participle of the main verb. نحتاج إلى التصريف الثالث من الفعل الأساسي. Went. Go, went, gone. Excellent. Many shops were gone to by us. Now let's practice changing sentences from active voice to passive voice. Change into passive. حول إلى المبني للمجهول. Alright. Number 1. We watched 2 action films. The sentence again. We watched 2 action films. Subject, verb, object. فاعل، فعل ومفعول به. Now, to change the sentence from active to passive, the first step, the object of the active sentence becomes the new subject for the passive sentence. So here, 2 action films were watched by us. Again, 2 action films were watched by us. Why were here? Look at the subject. لننظر إلى الفاعل. 2 action films. It's a plural subject. إنه فاعل جمع. What about the verb in the first sentence? ماذا عن الفعل في الجملة الأولى? It's in the past. إنه في الماضي. So, we needed a helping verb in the past to fit the plural subject. It was were. إنه كان الفعل المساعد were. And after the helping verb, we need the past participle of the main verb. بعد الفعل المساعد نستخدم الفعل الأساسي في التصريف الثالث. Let's read the sentence for the last time. 2 action films were watched by us. Alright. Sentence number 2. I drove a fast new car. Again, I drove a fast new car. Let's change this sentence from active to passive. لنحول هذه الجملة من المبني للمعلوم إلى المبني للمجهول. Here, I drove a fast new car. Subject, verb, and object. The object, a fast new car. The helping verb was. The past participle of the main verb, driven and by us. Let's read the sentence again. A fast new car was driven by us. Why was? Here, the subject is singular. car, one car, and the verb is in the past. Drive, drove, driven. Here drove in the past, so we use the helping verb was plus the past participle of the verb drove, then by us. Let's read the sentence for the last time. A fast new car was driven by us. Okay, dear students, now another short break, then we continue our lesson, passive voice part 2, after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back. Dear students, as we have learned to change sentences from active voice to passive voice in the past simple, now it's the time to learn how to change sentences from active to passive voice in the present continuous tense. So here we have passive voice with the present continuous. Passive voice with the present continuous. All right, let's look at the structure of the passive voice in the present continuous tense. لننظر إلى تركيب المبني للمجهول في زمن المضارع المستمر. Here, the passive voice in the present continuous is formed like this. Subject plus is or are plus being plus main verb in the past participle. Again, subject plus is or are plus being plus main verb in the past participle. يشكل المبني للمجهول في جملة المضارع المستمر كالتالي: فاعل، فعل مساعد is أو are، نستخدم is إذا كان الفاعل مفردا ونستخدم are إذا كان الفاعل جمعا، زائد being، زائد فعل أساسي في التصريف الثالث. Let's have some examples. Here, the first example, number 1, Ali is playing football and tennis. The sentence again, Ali is playing football and tennis. This sentence is in the present continuous. هذه الجملة في زمن المضارع المستمر. Now, how can we change the sentence from active to passive? The object of the sentence becomes the subject of the passive sentence. المفعول به للجملة الأولى يصبح الفاعل للجملة الجديدة. Now look at this new subject. لننظر إلى هذا الفاعل الجديد. Football and tennis. It's a plural subject. إنه فاعلا جمع. What about the verb in the first sentence? Is playing. It's in the present continuous. So here we used are. Football and tennis are. After are we used being and the main verb in the past participle. Now let's read the sentence for the last time. Football and tennis are being played. Are being played. Okay, let's move to another example. لننتقل إلى مثال آخر. He is eating a sandwich. Again, he is eating a sandwich. Now let's change the sentence from the active voice to the passive one. Look at this sentence, a sandwich. Here the object has become the new subject. A sandwich, it's singular subject. إنه فاعل مفرد. So we use is. A sandwich is being eaten. A sandwich is being eaten. All right, let's practice changing sentences from active to passive voice in the present continuous. Change into passive. حول إلى المبني للمجهول. Number 1. My teacher is explaining a lesson. Again, my teacher is explaining a lesson. This sentence is in the present continuous. هذه الجملة في زمن المضارع المستمر. Now, where is the object of this sentence? أين المفعول به لهذه الجملة? My teacher is the subject, is explaining. This is the verb. A lesson, that is the object. Look at this sentence. A lesson is being explained. A lesson is being explained. Here, a lesson, it's singular, so that we use is. And after is in continuous tenses, we use being. A lesson is being explained. After being, we use the main verb in the past participle. Let's move to sentence number 2. Tom is speaking English and Arabic. Again, Tom is speaking English and Arabic. Look at this sentence. English and Arabic, it's a plural subject. إنه فاعل جمع. So, we used are. English and Arabic are being spoken. English and Arabic are being spoken. Okay, dear students, thank you very much for watching us in this part. Passive voice in the present continuous. Now another short break, then we continue our lesson with passive voice in past continuous. A short break, then we go back. Welcome back. Now, dear students, it's time to talk about passive voice in the past continuous. في هذا الجزء سنتناول المبني للمجهول في زمن الماضي المستمر. Alright, let's look at the structure of the passive voice in the past continuous tense. لننظر إلى تركيب جملة المبني للمجهول في زمن الماضي المستمر. Look here, subject plus was or were plus being plus main verb in the past participle. Again, subject plus was or were plus being plus verb in the past participle. Let's have some examples. Example number 1, Linda was watching cartoon films. Linda was watching cartoon films. Look at the passive sentence. Cartoon films. Is this subject plural or singular? هل هذا الفاعل فاعلا مفرد أم جمع؟ Here we have cartoon films, أفلام الكرتون. It's plural. What about the verb in the first sentence? ماذا عن الفعل في الجملة الأولى؟ Was watching. It's a verb in the past continuous. So, here, the helping verb is were. Why were? Because the subject is plural and the verb is in the past. Cartoon films were being watched by Linda. Were being watched by Linda. After the helping verb, we used being and the main verb in the past participle. After that, the subject. Let's read the sentence for the last time. Cartoon films were being watched by Linda. Let's move to example number 2. We were collecting rubbish from the garden. Again, we were collecting rubbish from the garden. Let's change the sentence from active to passive. Rubbish, is it singular or a plural? It's singular. What about the verb in the first sentence? Were collecting. It's past continuous. So, rubbish was being collected from the garden. Again, rubbish was being collected from the garden. Let's move to practice changing sentences from active to passive in the past continuous. Here, change into passive. Number 1, she was making a cup of tea. Again, she was making a cup of tea. Let's change the sentence from active to passive. A cup of tea, here is the object, a cup of tea. Is it singular or plural? It's singular. What about the verb was making? It's in the past continuous. So, a cup of tea was being made. A cup of tea was being made. Number 2, we were visiting Ali and Omar. We were visiting Ali and Omar. Here, Ali and Omar, two persons, Ali and Omar were being visited. Ali and Omar were being visited. Now, dear students, let's move to have this exercise to practice the passive voice in the past simple, present continuous, and past continuous. Correct the underlined verbs. صحح الأفعال التي تحتها خط. Number 1, we was being called by our friend. Again, we was being called by our friend. Here the underlined verb is was. How can we correct this sentence? Look here. We were instead of we was, we were. Because we is a plural, we need to use were instead of was. Because was is used with singular subjects. But here were is used with the plural ones. Number 2, the classroom was cleaned by us. Again, the classroom was cleaned by us. Here, as we said before, after the helping verb should come the main verb in the past participle. بعد الفعل المساعد يجب أن يستخدم الفعل الأساسي في التصريف الثالث. Look at the underlined verb again. The classroom was clean. How can we correct this verb? Look here. Was cleaned. So the sentence should be the classroom was cleaned by us. نظف بواسطتنا. Number 3. The word is be polluted by us. The word is be polluted by us. As we said before, dear students, in continuous tenses, we should use subject, helping verb, being, and the main verb in the past participle. Here, the word is be polluted by us. How can we correct this sentence? Look here, is being. So, the word is being polluted by us. The word is being polluted by us. The last one, number 4. These cars are made last year. These cars are made last year. This sentence is incorrect. Why? Here are, it's used with the plural subject. It's okay. But here we have last year, العام الماضي is in the past. So, are is to be replaced by were. Here, were made instead of are made. So the sentence should be, these cars were made last year. Okay, dear students, here we have come to the end of our lesson. But before I say goodbye, let's revise all what we have talked about in today's lesson. In this lesson, we talked about passive voice in the past simple. تناولنا في هذا الدرس المبني للمجهول في زمن الماضي البسيط. And we said that the passive voice in the past simple is like this. A subject, a helping verb was or were, and a main verb in the past participle. Also we talked about the passive voice in the present continuous. تناولنا أيضا المبني للمجهول في زمن المضارع المستمر. And we said that it's formed like this. Subject, is or are, being, plus main verb in the past participle. Also, dear students, we talked about the passive voice in the past continuous. And it's formed like this. Subject, was or were, being, plus the main verb in the past participle. Dear students, thank you very much for watching us in this lesson. I hope the lesson was beneficial and interesting for you. See you inshallah next time, and goodbye.